Thank you for joining us today. I will be sharing some information with you about your choices after year 11. You may well have heard some of the information already that I'm going to share today, but I think it's really useful to have a reminder, especially that we haven't been in school for a while. So it will be an overview. Have a listen and please take some notes if necessary. So what we're going to do, we're going to explore the main options after year 11. What are the things that you can actually do? We're going to look at the application process and timelines. We're now in June, so a lot of what you would have done in year 11 should have happened already, but we look at where we're at now and where you're at and what are the things that you should be doing now to ensure that you have a place for September. And also we'll look through some useful websites, so information that you can go to after today and do more research if you choose to. So what are the main options for you? Some of you will decide to stay in education, and most young people who stay in education after year 11 opt to go to college, or they may choose to stay at their own sixth form or actually move on to another sixth form. For students who do not decide to stay in education, your options are a form of training, usually an apprenticeship or a traineeship, which we will look at in a bit more detail. It's really important to be aware that once you've finished year 11, you do need to stay in some form of learning. And this is what's called the Raising Participation Age, which the government set up a while back, and it means that all young people in England and Wales need to be in education up until their 18th birthday. It doesn't mean that you have to be in school, but it does mean that you have to be learning and gaining qualification. So if you've opted to stay in education, then you more than likely will be going on to college or staying in your sixth form. A lot of the time, my year 11s ask me, what's the difference? How do I decide? And I've just put up a few main differences that tend to come up most years in terms of the differences between college and sixth form. So with a college, it is separate from a school. There are a range of different courses that you can do and at different levels as well. So from a college perspective, you're going to get a lot more of a range of courses than you would if you were to stay in a sixth form. The way in which you learn in terms of the hours will be different, and the way in which you speak with your teachers and tutors, you usually call them by their first names. There's a different sort of code of conduct in that respect. You normally don't have a dress code unless you're doing a specific course. So it could be something like hairdressing, maybe nursery nursing. You might actually be told that you have to wear a uniform as part of what you're doing. In sixth form, it usually is attached to a school. The main offer is A levels or a level 3 BTEC. Some schools do offer an IB as well. So you could find out more about that if you're interested in doing an IB. The timings of the lessons are very similar to school, but it might be that if you haven't got lessons and you're not actually expected to stay in school, you could be doing home learning, but that would depend on the sixth form that you go to. And there's still a formal address to your teacher, so the way in which you would have addressed them in year 7 to year 11, you're still expected to have that same approach. And usually there isn't a set uniform, but you will be expected to adhere to a particular dress code, and it is very different depending on the sixth form that you attend. So if staying in sixth form or going to college is not what you want to do and you want to do something different to the formal education that you have done before, then you may consider doing an apprenticeship or a traineeship. So what's the difference? If you're doing an apprenticeship, you will be working for an employer. Now, every apprenticeship and every employer has a slightly different way in which they provide an apprenticeship to young people. But typically, you'd be working 4 days a week, and then 1 day a week you'll be going to a college or a training provider, which they choose, and you will be doing your written work and assessments. You would normally start at a level 2, which usually is an NVQ2, and the minimum payment for an apprenticeship is £4.15 per hour. This changes depending on age and how long you've been doing an apprenticeship. More of that information you can read on the apprenticeship website, which I will share with you at the end of the presentation. With most apprenticeships, you do need GCSEs, and they will do some form of assessment or interview. Now, again, as I said, they're all very different, so you will need to look closely at what the requirement is depending on which apprenticeship you choose. You can start applying from as early as April or May, and apprenticeships, they start at different times compared to college and sixth form. So normally college and sixth form start in September, whereas apprenticeships may start a bit sooner. It could be July or it could be August. You just need to check when the starting date is when you're looking at an application. With an apprenticeship, you can progress and you can move on to an advanced, higher or degree level apprenticeship. And at each different level, you will need a different qualification. And again, like I said, with apprenticeships, there are various different ways in which you can access it, and so you would need to double check each application you apply to. With a traineeship, they're usually provided by training providers, and there are different training providers. Some of the ones that we use locally, Skills Training, First Rung, amongst others. They will focus on your functional skills. So if, for example, you need to improve on your English, maths or ICT, they will do that with you, and they will look at what level you're at and work with you from that point. They will give you an opportunity to look at your work experience and what you're interested in to get you involved in that area of work. And also help you with your employability skills, looking at your soft skills, communication, dealing with difficult situations, to help prepare you for your next phase, which might be to go on to an apprenticeship, or you may choose after a traineeship to go back into education. To start a traineeship, you don't need any qualifications. And as I mentioned, you will be building on those skills to prepare you for an apprenticeship if that's what you decide to do afterwards. In terms of the vocational areas, apprenticeships keep on growing, and there are different sectors that you can work in. So for some young people, it could be business, for some young people, plumbing, hairdressing, childcare, the list goes on. So once you look at the website, you'll be able to see if there are apprenticeships in the field of work that you're interested in going into. To help you think a bit more about how to make the decision for what you do after year 11, here are a few questions that you might want to ask yourself if you haven't asked yourself already. So, how do I learn? Which might seem like a really strange question, being that most of us learn in the same way all the way through school. So now that you're leaving year 11, you have got a bit more flexibility in terms of the type of course that you want to access. So some of the questions you could ask yourself, am I more practical? Do I prefer to learn by doing? Do I enjoy lots of reading and writing? You know, some A-level courses may have more reading and writing than others. Think about those things. Do I learn better through sitting down in a classroom, or would I prefer to be out there learning by experience? These are the questions that you can ask yourself. What grades do I need? Now you need to consider the grades that you are likely to achieve, and that should help you to decide what course or what training level you are at. it's important to think about the grades that you have now, and even if they do allow you to get onto a course. So for example, I get some students who manage to get onto A levels just in terms of the grades that they have. That's fine, okay? You will adjust to the learning, and you'll adjust to the level of what's expected for you or from you at A level. But you've also then got to look one step beyond. And will the grades that I have, if I'm thinking about higher education and university, will the grades I have at GCSE allow me to enter the field that I want to go into? So what I always ask young people to do is think about the grades you have now and what you're trying to achieve now. And does the grades at GCSE allow you to move beyond where you are now? Also think about what you want to do in the future. Am I choosing a course that links to my future career? Or am I just choosing a course because it's interesting? Both are fine, but if you do have a career aspiration in mind, you need to ensure that the course that you are choosing will allow you to move towards the next phase of that career pathway. So if I'm choosing a course now, will it allow me to go into that course thereafter, and will it give me entry for that particular job in the future? That's really important to take that time to do that. If you are choosing a course based on what you like, because not everybody at this stage has a clear idea of what their career aspiration is, and that's absolutely fine. You don't have to. For those who do, great, and if you don't, that's absolutely fine. But what I'd really encourage you to do is to spend some time researching that course, researching where that course might lead. That would allow you then at least to do that course with confidence, knowing that once I finish this course, I can enter a specific or general field of work. That's really important for you to do, and the research will also open your thinking to what might be a good career for you in the future. And what you can also do is, in terms of the course and training availability, it's really important to be aware of if the course you want to do exists. Is it running in the college that you've applied to? Will you be able to access it? I've had lots of young people in the past who have applied to colleges and not even checked that they do the course they want to do. So be informed, do the research. That will really save you a lot of time, and it would also empower you to make sure that the decision that you're making is the right decision for you. We are coming to the end of the presentation, so I'd love you to take some time to have a checklist in your mind. Am I choosing a course, training that's right for me? Have I thought about what I want to do with this course in the future and what it's going to allow me to do beyond year 11? Have I chosen with good reasons? Have I thought about how it's going to benefit me and not just choosing because it seems like a good idea, that you've really thought about what it is that you want to do? If at this stage you're still feeling a little bit uncertain, that's fine. Please talk to a careers advisor to reassure you about your choices. Again, for students who have not yet applied for college or sixth form or training, I really strongly advise you to do that. And again, if you need that support, we are here to do that and to support you. Think about the research. Again, I can't emphasize that anymore. Research is really key. And now that we're all at home, we've got a bit more time. Use that time well, do that research. And that brings me onto this slide really. So I've just put a collection of some of the resources that I think may support you. There are lots more websites that you can use, and once you start doing that research, it just leads on to more research. Think about your career aspirations. think about the way in which you can find out more information. Is the career that I want to go into the future, is it expanding, is it declining? That will be information you can find, which is labour market information. That's quite a useful thing to do, especially given the current climate where organisations and companies, the world of work has changed slightly. We haven't got indications as to how it will change completely yet, because we don't know how things will pan out in terms of COVID-19, but that definitely has an impact. But have a look at, you know, the different jobs within your field. So you might be somebody who's really interested in maths, but you only know one job that's related to it. Take some time, research the different jobs that are related to it. You might be really surprised by the things you can use with the skills that you have, or the skills that you want to progress and to gain. If you haven't got a career idea at the moment, you can still do research. So think about the things that you're good at. Think about the subjects you enjoy, and do some research. Find out if there's an ideal job for you waiting for you that you've just never been able to think about before. I would say use these websites. They're all free to use. And just take some time, explore, ask questions. If you're finding it difficult to make that choice, ask lots of questions. You're going to please use this opportunity to ask as many questions as you can.